Welcome back, guys. FM News Talk 97.1 DGS. We have an author in studio with us, attorney, author, constitutional law professor, great juggler, as I understand. Tad Armstrong, who I've known about at least for years back when I was an attorney. He's a big name in the law and an author. And the book I hold in my hand, it's called It's Okay to Say God, Prelude to a Constitutional Renaissance. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Dave, hey, if your byline means making it real, making it honest, I get it big time.
Well, thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. And I absolutely am going to send this to Glenn because this is exactly the kind of book that he will rip off and call his own. He'll come out by Glenn Beck.
Yeah, that's right.
So we don't have a lot of time and a lot to get to. So first I just want to throw you the general softball, and I have lots of follow-up questions. But Why this book? Why now? What led you to put this much work into it to write this book?
Timing is everything. I think the message in the book, not so much my name, Tad Armstrong, but the message is the fourth most important publication people need in their homes for this time right now in our nation.
That leaves three others.
That leaves three. You're a good straight man, Dan.
Yeah.
Close?
First would be
the Bible.
The Bible, if you're a Christian or whatever your book is of your faith. Second would be
Martha Stewart's cookbook.
No, the Constitution, of course.
Okay.
Ah.
All right.
And the third would be the Fast Daddy menu.
Oh, very nice.
Now look,
he's going to take my show away from me.
Hey, Jack Klobnik told me to bring some funny with me.
Yeah.
Kevin Jackson could do the 16 words of the religion clauses. He can make that funny. That's the best I can do, guys.
Tad just made $50.
I think the Lord will forgive me.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, but it's important because I've got a segue from yesterday's show. You had a call in. Is the president intending to take the country down? And went 85-15, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That he was.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that he's intentionally doing that. I think his motives are pure, but where we part company is his tactics. Dave, when I became a lawyer, I took the Article 6 oath to support the Constitution seriously. The Article 2 oath of the president is to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. This president has admitted several times in his presidency he doesn't like the Constitution. He doesn't like the limits of it. And as things steadily progressed, it became very obvious that he disregards it. That is serious. And so my issue involves I think the Republicans are getting this wrong. There's time to recover. But what I'm saying is, and I don't have all the answers, but I am an observer. For them to take the economy as their issue, is it going to work this time? In the past, incumbent presidents that happened to be in a bad economic downturn always lost. If we don't watch it, that's not going to happen this time for this reason. The left-leaning media refuses to vet this president. And if it doesn't matter, if he takes us 16 trillion widgets down, if by the time we vote he's taken us 200 million widgets up, people are going to want to keep him in office. It is not about the economy. It's about something much more serious. It's about freedom, and in particular, religious freedom, and that is what my book is about.
So if you have about 5 minutes here, if you had 5 minutes on national television and everyone has to watch you, what argument would you make for why the president needs to be voted out when it comes to religious freedom and constitutional traditions?
Well, my book is about all of the topics of the religion clauses, but of late, it has to do with fundamental concepts of who we are about. Listen, he's done us a favor. We have been slowly marching towards a socialistic state, but he has ratcheted up the music and the speed of this to the point where we're waking up. This election, this fall, is going to be about who we claim to be. I never thought ever in my lifetime that I would see a large number of Americans suggest, first of all, that there's a right to receive any tangible goods from government. There is not. There never has been. But now we're to the point where not only do they claim there is a right, they believe that should trump their neighbors' religious convictions. If that's where we are as a nation, we have lost our identity. Religious freedom is the bedrock. It's what makes this country different than any other. It is why we have been the shining city on the hill. and we're gonna have to face who we are this fall.
I think you put that better than anyone has yet. People are putting their fake right over a real, a founding of our republic.
Yes, and there's no right to food,
Right.
Dave.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think the president maybe believe that's otherwise. 46 million people on food stamps, to me, defines an abject failure of government. It enslaves people. And yet he believes that that's the way we should go. The Democrats believe it's good for the economy. The more food stamps we have, the better for the economy.
Too, perception is reality. And to at least tens of millions of people out there, they have an honest belief that this is a right. I mean, they could pass a polygraph.
I know.
And the Constitution to them is so old and tired and a bunch of old pudgy white guys, and it just isn't relevant anymore.
But you know what? Think about this. This was ratified in 1788, 1789. The Bill of Rights went to the populace and was ratified. Do you think there's anything new to learn on the planet about principles of government? Listen, these guys studied Socrates and Plato and European civilization. They studied everything there was to study and came up with this document. There's nothing new in it, nothing new to learn. It depends on the route you want to take. And I contend that the Constitution is the most relevant document of today because Article 5 says change it any time you want to. And we haven't. Only 27 times, 17 after the Bill of Rights. We can do that. By the way, I think there's some needed changes. Single subject legislation, I'd love to see that. Today, you cannot, anyone that criticizes a candidate for their vote on any issue, you cannot rely upon because all of the other stuff lopped on top of it may have overwhelmed
It's not apples to apples.
That's not.
Yeah.
We've got to. So no, I'm not against amending the Constitution.
What would you say is the number one misconception among Americans, the media, all of us, about what the Constitution says about religion?
Well, the left gets it wrong, the right gets it wrong, and it's a shame because, for example, the left, any mention of God, anywhere in and around government, they claim is forbidden by that is just not true. On the other hand, on the right, they would contend that we ought to have nativity scenes on courthouse lawns. Guys, Lynch versus Donnelly is one of the worst cases the Supreme Court ever came up with that gave a victory to Christianity, but it was a Pyrrhic victory, and it only survived because it was shabby and didn't, in their estimation, send the real message of the birth of Christ. And I predicted trouble at that point, and subsequently we got a fight between a menorah and a nativity scene in Pittsburgh. The menorah won. The nativity scene lost at Christmas, for heaven's sakes. Why? Because the nativity scene was really nice and sent the message of the birth of Christ. It was a Pyrrhic victory. We ought to get out of the religious symbol business. In that area, in my estimation, when government and religion play, they both get soiled. And the message of Christ is lost at Christmas.
But where should we be able to talk about God in the public square? In what way should we be able to that most people believe, oh, that's unconstitutional?
Well, for heaven's sakes, the no pun intended there, Lord, but the oath of office, when presidents add "so help me God" to their oath, they have a perfect right to do that. When they ask the nation to pray, they have the perfect right to do that. They've got the right of free speech, and they've got the right to foster their what their beliefs are. How can you ask anyone to disregard a belief that serious? My contention today is, I don't know why, but we somehow have taken our faith into our church walls, and we're not willing to share it out on the streets. I don't understand that.
And if you're a politician or a public figure, you can't mention your faith because then people say, this guy's a radical, this guy's a freak.
But whose fault is that? The polls say there's 76% of the people are Christians in this country, and 9% put God first in their lives. If that's true, is there any wonder why our culture has gone down the tubes? Look, is there anything more important than the concept of eternity? I think not. Our framers talked about these things all the time, and I can't understand why we don't.
So if the framers were here right now and you lined them out on nativity scenes in the public square, you feel confident they would say, no, that shouldn't be allowed.
I do. I think they'd go with me on this because back then, let's face it, Christianity was the religion, but they were aware of Jewish citizens in our country at the time. They were aware of atheists, of course. The difference between then and now is we're much more diverse, we're huge, and people are willing to challenge these things in a court of law. And listen, if you let one in, you have to let them all.
Let me do something completely unfair to you and give you a question that you could talk about for hours, but you only have 2 minutes. When people say, well, we are a Judeo-Christian country. We were founded on the Judeo-Christian traditions. And people say, that's just simply not true. Others say, obviously that's true. Where do you fall on that?
Well, not legally true, not officially true, but certainly traditionally true. Sure, no one can deny that. Our laws are based on the laws of Moses, fundamentally. So that's my simple answer to that one.
Where do people get the book? How do they find this locally, nationally? We have people all over the country listening.
Yeah, the reason I want them to go to my website is because I want people to sign up to the free newsletter. We're going to launch that in a week or two. We're going to keep people up to date on the Constitution and news out of the Supreme Court. It's free. It's going to be really, I think, powerful. That's ELLConstitutionclubs.com. ELL, it's long, but ELL, the story about that is in the book. ELLConstitutionclubsplural.com. Or the alternative is Amazon, Barnes & Noble on the websites.
Okay. If you forget everything, just remember TAD, T-A-D, Armstrong. Right. You can Google TAD. Also in the Post-Dispatch on a monthly basis.
First Thursday of every month for the last 28. They haven't fired me yet.
Very good. And are you still teaching?
I teach Constitution at Greenville College.
Very cool.
Still practice law.
Very good. Well, thank you, brother. This was fascinating.